All right, it's time. We'll bring the Municipal Facilities Committee meeting to order. The first item is approval of minutes.
So moved.
And I'll second.
Since we're the only,
Can we, is there a motion to excuse Harry from our meeting?
So moved.
I'm sorry, Councilmember Steinmetz.
Yes.
Yeah. Seconded, and then approval of minutes has happened. The second item of business is the Soundview Park update from staff.
Sure, thank you. So Soundview Park, as you all have seen and probably been up to now, is open to the public and things are going really well. They do yoga and Pilates different nights there. We've kind of had people, inquire about rentals, but we're just letting people use it as is. As far as kind of an update with where we are with the local tribes, we contracted with Muckleshoot for the story pole. So there's going to be a 12-foot story pole in the kind of front by the sort of driveway there. And there's already the space for it that Andrew and the crew have set up there. So we have 2 carvers that are working on this right now. I just got an update last week that they've faceted out the cedar log that they acquired, and they are starting design work, and hopefully we'll have it carved and ready for a fall kind of grand opening that we'll do up there. I brought these. You may have already read these, but this was the update we did, I think, back in June. It was the just kind of the press release we did, but it has the story stones that are up there and a lot of the native plants that they utilized around the space. And so, yeah, just a lot of really good feedback. I'm in regular touch with Muckleshoot, and yeah, if you have any questions, we're excited to hopefully, like I said, fall will be the story pole will be complete, and it'll be officially, it's open as I said, but it'll be officially done, and we can do kind of a celebration of sorts up there. So,
very good.
Yeah.
Mayor?
So I got a couple of questions, really. I know that you've been working with some of the neighbors on some of the night activities and things like, some of those types of things. I know that I think it's well in hand with what you guys are doing, but is there anything you can speak to as kind of what you're doing for particularly some of the late night activities or people parking back in the handicapped area?
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, there's a number of things. This is a transformation of that property from private residence to public domain. And we've also been able to integrate what happens at Soundview with Overlook 2, which creates a really great venue for the public. However, with that always come problems. So what we're trying to do with the problems are there's things that we will come back to the committee later on, but essentially redirection of traffic, especially along 5th, signage, cameras, and emphasis patrols, utilizing our Marina Security private company to come up there and do drive-throughs that they've not done a lot of. We just started that. And I'll tell you anecdotally, I was over there not too long ago, this week actually, and 2 cars came and parked in the handicap spaces, and a number of able-bodied persons jumped out of the cars and were hanging out at the park and everything. So we ended up calling PD, who came and checked the cars, and both of them had placards for disabled parking. So it was just coincidentally, but we're going to try to enhance emphasis patrols up there and create the dynamic through lighting and cameras and direction of traffic and then surveillance to minimize nighttime activities. So that's an ongoing process, but we think we're going to go in the right direction with that.
I know it's always a struggle. As far as the Overlook 2 and the combination, is that, are we targeting 2023 for that work, or is it 2024?
There's already like a ramp that leads to Overlook 2.
Yeah. I know you were talking about 5th Avenue and possibly right, so, like a cul-de-sac or.
Right. So, well, I think the idea was, Dan, you can speak to this too if you want, but the idea is basically that just north of Wayne's driveway,
Yeah,
we would close Fifth
okay,
and then create some kind of turnaround. There's an issue there somewhat with appropriate right-of-way for a cul-de-sac, but that is the plan for that, and that's something we probably will do in stages, and we may do an early part of it fairly soon.
okay. That's all I
Do
have.
you, anything you want to add?
I'll, really quick before, the park is wonderful. I mean, to see the videos of like the guy playing frisbee with his dog, the yoga session, the impromptu wedding, yeah, there were some photos of that. There was somebody put up a little canopy and brought in 12 chairs, and I think it was 12 women in the community that get together somewhere, decided to do it there. But yeah, that's what I've heard overwhelming. And one of the best views is seeing the passenger ferry, you know, kick butt out of town and kick butt coming in. But the view is wonderful. You guys did a wonderful job, and it really emulates the storyboards that we got done several years ago in those public engagement sessions. If people saw the boards, they'd know that you listened to them.
Yeah, just one last thing, I just need to say, I could not be prouder of Nicole and Dan and everyone involved in this, Scott, Katie, our, Public Works, Parks, everything, for transforming that into such an incredible community facility. That and the fact that the relationship with the indigenous peoples here, I think, is a tribute to them and a tribute to the city for acknowledging that culture and wanting to participate with that culture. So I couldn't be prouder of you guys. Did a fantastic job.
I 100% agree. Recognizing the indigenous people and their presence here was very tastefully done in that park, and I'm glad that, Nicole, you had that partnership with them to come up with something that they can be proud of and we can be proud of and tells a story. So thank you.
I'll just add really quickly too, so the Muckleshoot historian that we worked with for the Lizard Woman story and then has helped a lot with the translations for the story poll, we plan to have sort of an ongoing relationship with him and with Muckleshoot for different educational components up there. We want to do things for teens and kind of have sort of like a story throughout the park, if you will, like down the road, just as far as keeping going with our relationship with them, but also for, kids in this area. So that's exciting as well.
My only comments is I'm just very glad that we were able to acquire the site. As I said all along, I think if somebody else would have acquired the site, we probably would have lost part of our history. Our history. And the Muckleshoots have always wanted to work with us through our 501c3s in the city and stuff. And so I'm glad we've got a working relationship with them now. So, and it's beautiful. Nicely done to all the staff. That's my comments. Anything else? All right. Moving on, I think we're getting a foot ferry update from staff.
Thanks. So Chair Nutting, since you just heard this, we're going to let you give the, no. Yeah, and just the last thing about the sound view, because it's anytime these types of things work, it's a combination of both policy, allocation of resources, and then making it happen. And so we also acknowledge, council's role in supporting acquisition of that. And then Susan played a huge role in getting us resources to help pay for it. But it wouldn't happen without council's approval and support. So that's, I think, important to acknowledge. I'm just going to do a brief update on ferry service since I'll do this again for council as a whole. I think you may have both seen these, but if not, Katie prepared these. And I will go through kind of in depth everyone who's associated, everyone who's associated with this effort. But basically what's happening is that, we started ferry service, what was it? The 10th.
Yep.
So it's been 2 weeks. And we're doing it 5 days a week, and we're doing it 4 times a day. to Seattle, and then back. So 10, 12, 2 and 4 to Seattle, 11, 1, 3, and 5 back to Des Moines. And ridership has just been tremendous. The first week was free. Almost all the ferries, if not all of them, were full. Then the charges kicked in week 2. And you can see that the first week, and these are future bookings also. Yeah. Right. So the net collected revenue in week 2, not only restricted to week 2, but for people buying future tickets, right, was $11,700. And so far in week 3, which only includes like 2 days, I believe, we're at $8,200. So this is fare box revenue that was never included in our projections relative to cost. So as far as this goes, this represents just a huge response by our community, wonderful response. And anecdotally, I was telling the Economic Development Committee earlier, I was on the phone with a developer, significant developer, who wanted to ride the ferry. I said, well, here's the link. And he goes, yeah, we're going to go Saturday with the family. Went online. It was completely booked for Saturday. So they had to change their plans. That's really wonderful news. There's a lot of attention to this throughout the region. I think that the city can be exceedingly proud of having done this ourselves. We didn't rely on federal money, state money, any of that. We did it ourselves. It was something to try. We will bring back to council probably an update at our budget retreat, and then a more significant update when this is over as to where we are and where we stand. And one thing I'll talk about more in council, not repeat to you all, but the source of funds that we're utilizing. There's no property tax, there's no direct community tax. It's one-time sales tax, and I'll go into that a little bit more in the council meeting. But it's just been phenomenal. I think everybody stood up to make this happen. Peter Phillips has been amazing. Katie has been amazing. So not to say Scott and everyone else isn't also, but we really appreciate the effort, and this is just fantastic news for us. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mayor, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I actually got a couple comments. First of all, I got to go on the first one, and Katie did a phenomenal job. I got to talk. The crew was superior. The boat, you guys kind of misled us in the fact that you said it'd take 40 minutes, and I timed it. I think one was 29, the other was 28. So, shame on you, right? No, it was the ride on the boat isn't like a slow trawl. It is an experience in itself. Where it comes into Seattle is the perfect place. Centrally located between like Anthony's, and the Edgewater, and then over on the other side is the Big Wheel, the Curiosity Shops, Ivers, and then right up the hill, of course, is the Pike Place Market. So it couldn't be better location. The enthusiasm and feedback was super positive. It's been overwhelmingly positive from so many people. The way you ran standby, of course, the free week. What was great is we had a lot of no-shows because it was free, but of course there was people in line readily available. I went there and thanked a lot of people and told them, be sure to pass on your feedback. I know that you're working on something for the restaurants, which I think is great. Right now, if it's just us, Memorial Day through Labor Day, I think is a done deal. It's obviously benefiting us. I got one in writing, which I forwarded on to Michael with the restaurants, but I've heard from a couple others. It's their 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. business that started to come up. It was their dead time. They would be open, but they got a few stragglers, and they've been asking, and these are people in the ferry. They know they got to get done at a certain time so they can get back down. But these people were excited, and they'd come from Seattle. Tourists are Seattle people that resided there. And I think it's great. Those are the increments. Those are the things where you talk about, making the money here, but what's it bringing to the community? I had a lot of people asking what to do when we were in town, so I think the map takes it. The promotion was fantastic, and I know you guys did some. Peter Phillips, I know Seattle Southside, and a couple of the like Waterland Blog and so forth. But I was watching the news, and here's a helicopter doing the news on the traffic report, and what they show is our ferry kicking across the sound going to Seattle. So it was like, and they go, oh, there's the Des Moines ferry, you know, so it was great PR. So my compliments to all of you guys on that team effort. And I know that if we could ever get the end game of where, you know, Tacoma and Seattle play with us with a passenger ferry at a little larger scale, if we've done anything, even though it's the summer and we, you know, right now it makes sense not to expand our hours past one shift. I mean, if we've done anything, we proved it's pretty viable, because one of the only things I'm hearing is, gosh, if we could leave in the morning, I would take commute in it and commute back. So it's just a hidden opportunity. But me, light rail in, passenger ferry back, at least in the month of September is one of my plans when I go in. So I just compliment you guys. I think it's worked really well as well. And I'm super impressed. And there were, like I said, it was the surprise. I did not expect the ferry to be full on the road trip back. And a lot of people heard about it. I know that, you know, the Pike Place Market and so forth, it seemed like a lot of people that were in the tourist industry down there were aware of it as an option too, which I think was really good. So my compliments to you and everybody you guys, you know, brought in.
Yeah, there's nothing more I could say about it. I mean, it's,
Sorry, man.
yeah, no, it's
just
been
thrilled.
good, and I'm glad that we're doing it, and I'll save the rest of my compliments and comments for council tonight. So, thank you very much.
Yeah. Just one last quick note regarding service to Tacoma. So this weekend, Ryan Mello, who's formerly on the Tacoma City Council and now on the Pierce County Commission, who's a huge advocate of ferries and ferry service, and who came up here early on and just kind of understood what we wanted to do, has been incredibly supportive. He's coming for a ride with his family on Sunday. So you know, and what we're hoping at some point is they have their sort of nexus from Tacoma that may include other locations down there, and then connecting those two, and especially for us, it connects to the airport. So that's kind of a logical next step, but we proved we can do it. It can be done, so.
Well, and that would be my only other comment, is that the things that I've been hearing is that if it went to Point Ruston, it would be even more of a success. So, and it sounds like we're moving that way.
Yeah.
So, that's incredible.
I will tell you that we went to the Cambodian Festival at Saltwater State Park, and one of the other council members was from Tacoma. He's half Cambodian, so he was there, and Tracy and I, Deputy Mayor Buxton and I, hit him up about that, and he seemed to be very excited that, like, they'd like to do something like that too. So there seems to be the enthusiasm to expand it to something bigger.
Yeah.
All right, that covers everything that was on the agenda. Unless,
No,
Was it? I missed something. Sorry.
There's more
Oh,
status.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Scott and Dan. I will,
Yeah, don't let him off, man.
sorry, it looks like we've got Marina status report of projects is our next item on the agenda.
Thank you, Chair Nutting and Mayor, Mr. Michael Mathias. Michael. This year, the summer, just want to give you a quick little summer update, and then we'll go into kind of the other stuff on the agenda. But it's been a good summer. Weather's been good. Boating's been good. Strong. We're just busier than busy. Can't say enough. Fishing's been good. Crabbing's been good. Kind of a limited season, but they're doing well. Want to talk a little bit about 4th of July this year, the Waterland Festival, new passenger ferry, concerts in the park, farmers market, these things right there. These are all amazing community events. We love them all. We really do. And they're great for this community and everybody around here. I want to thank Michael for the confidence that he has in all the city staff that plays a part in these things and giving us the tools that we need to pull them off. I don't think anybody understands the other side of the coin, you know, what it really takes to put on the 4th of July this year. The planning and the planning and the planning and the reaching out, and Ashley and Katie and the whole team, police, everybody. However, I've said a little bit on the other side of that coin. That time spent planning all the construction, with the police, all the porta potties, all the garbage, all the fencing, all the cleanup, all that stuff. All these events are at the marina. They always are. And a lot of this falls on the marina staff, and it always has. This year, it's been a little tough. It's been a little harder. It's significantly impacted some of our regular summer stuff that we do, some of our maintenance, pressure washing, dock replacements of boards and different things, and things like that. So I'm not complaining about it, and I don't want anybody to think about that. I just want people to understand that this is a huge thing that we are a part of every year, and it takes away from our other stuff. Our capital projects, we have a few that are behind because of that, and just things like that. I just want to make people aware of that, you know. Anyway, moving on to our master plan. Our master plan, we have all our information from Moffitt Nichols, so we should have that to council for adoption early this fall. The draft plan is on our website. It's been on there for many, many months, and we've had very few comments. And I didn't say enough about Katie here, so if I forget something or say something wrong, she'll jump in, and I appreciate her being here. So that's what I wanted to say about that. Our dock replacement, right now, we're in phase 1, the LM&N replacement of the docks. All of our state, federal permits have been filed, so we're on that. Our city-required permits should be going in next week. That's a SEPA permit, and I believe a substantial development permit, that's what it's called. We're at our 45% design right now, and we're reviewing that design, the project design. The cost estimates just came in for the project, and we're reviewing those right now. We should have our 95% design around October, and then we'll pause for about 8 months. We'll start putting bid packets together and doing all that stuff while we wait for those long-awaited permits to come in. That's what'll be a big thing, a lot on that timeline. We should have our final documents June of 23, next June. We'll have city review for a few weeks. We'll advertise for about 6 weeks, and so that'll put us about mid-September of 23. And then we'll have that probably about a 1 year of collecting materials, acquisitions of electrical, plumbing, fire, all the dock parts, everything that we need. But that's also going to be affected on supply chains, labor. We know now all those things have huge factors and change timelines and change project costs tremendously, but we're looking at that. So once the contractor is chosen, we'll be honestly looking at in-water work no sooner than after Labor Day of 2024. And that'll take us to the fish window of 2 of 25. So it's about little over 2 years from now. So that's where we're at with that. Ideally, exactly, thank you. Right now, we're working on a PowerPoint. We should have it done tomorrow, and we want to put that together and schedule a meeting with the tenants to give them kind of an update of where we are, what we know, get them in on a little bit of some of the design elements that we can have them jump in, and then learn more about the transitioning and the demo and the construction. Get them a little more up to speed on that part. But one thing I do want to say, and it's not a fun one to bring up, but I was informed that a tenant had some concerns. So I reached out to this tenant directly, set up a Zoom call, wanted to know what his concerns were, what his thoughts were, and everything else. And he told me directly, he said that a DMMA board member told him that the city doesn't care, the marina doesn't care, the council doesn't care about the tenants. We're gonna kick them out when we get ready to install new docks. Might not even have a place to come back. Rumors like that can hurt a project terribly. And, you know, I don't know if it's rumors that he's spreading, this person's spreading, or she's spreading, or or whatever, but it's also, you know, it could be just misinformation, miscommunication, but it's something that cannot be tolerated, and I hope to address that in our tenant meeting that we have. And Dan can accept, yes.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. Just appreciated that I sat in on the Zoom call with Scott and Katie, and at the end of the meeting, and where we were able to kind of get the right information to these tenants, couldn't be more appreciative of the conversation and the time that we shared with them, and now they're able to go out and pass the right information on to other tenants. In fact, they even said during the call that some of their neighboring tenants knew they were going to be meeting with Scott and Katie, and were anxious to hear. So it was just helpful to have that conversation and kind of set the record straight. And one of the things, I don't know if this was on your agenda to speak to, but they actually brought up some interesting ideas that we're going to implement hopefully first quarter of next year, once our design is a little bit more solidified, where we can actually work with the current tenants to begin to reserve new slip spaces in those docks. That just will help take that whole notion away that we don't care, we're gonna kick people out, we don't want them coming back, that whole thing. No, and so we're gonna share that with those tenants when we meet with them, hopefully in the next week or two. We think that right now we're having a discussion, do we have that meeting with the whole group of tenants, or specifically with tenants of LM and N docks, which is what we're working on right now. And we're kind of leaning that direction, so it's more focused on the docks that we're replacing. But anyway, that ended up being a really good meeting and productive at the end of that. So.
Yeah, no, it was honestly very nice to talk and chat with him, because, you know, he even mentioned that he was at that point of like, do I go search for a new marina or do I sell my boat? You know, and it was like, you know, have that worry go away from him. It really helped him out. So, no, it was a good meeting.
One thing real quick.
Yep, please.
Sorry, just one other thing regarding that Scott has really kind of been a huge helper with in the communication with the tenants, is he does a monthly Harbors Masters report. He's honestly been doing it since he became Harbor Master, but we've only started posting those online on our website this year. And then we have actually, because we were only providing them to the DMMA originally, we decided that that wasn't enough. And so the last couple of ones, we've actually just directly emailed to all current tenants at the time.
Yeah.
So now that report is getting into their inboxes so that they can review this information and be more up to date on everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I just have a couple more things, sorry. Our tenant restroom, because of some of the other work going on and different things, we're a little behind on progress on that, but we're continuing to work with our consultant, KPG, and they're the ones that designed the new north restrooms out there in the north parking lot, so it'll be a good project. I'm looking forward to it. We had our Redondo boat Redondo boarding float bid packet open today. We had bid packets opening for that project today. We had two people submit bids. Both are a lot more than I was hoping for. So we'll put that all together. I'll reach out tomorrow to our grant, Deanna RCO grant, and speak with her, and I'll keep you posted on moving forward on that one. And then finally, we're just gathering all the equipment we need for our Guest Mortgage electrical project, and you have acceptance of an additional grant funds for that on consent tonight, so that'll be a nice project. But any questions, I'd be happy to help.
Unless you want to go first.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
First of all, to both of you, thank you. You run the marina really well, and I know how much you care about the tenants. You live and breathe them, so I can see how this would emotionally and personally affect you when rumors of that nature. My question is if there's anything we can do, whether it's speaking at the DMMA meeting as well, or sending a letter to all the tenants or something like that, I would be glad to accommodate whatever you need our support on through, with approval of Michael and Dan. I speak as council, we would be glad to do that.
Appreciate that.
So I just want you to know, I'll talk about the events. The events are important to the community, and you guys participated. I will say, because I was there from the early morning to the late nights on many of the events, and yes, I saw your staff working tirelessly. I saw all the efforts to clean up in the orchestration and what it is, and I don't have the full idea of what you all do, but I probably have more than most would. I think we can all fairly say that, and I know it so much, and I really appreciate it, right from Michael down to the staff. You know, with obviously the end reward obviously is seeing little kids have a great time and experience things, or like a 4th of July where you see just our diverse, community together celebrating the same thing. It's just an awesome thing, and you make it happen, and I really appreciate that. Quick question on the docks, LM&N. With the sling having its issues in integrity, it sounded like that was gonna get moved to this phase too. Is that part of that?
Yes,
Along with an adaptive purpose building?
yes, we've implemented the permitting and some design and things for the public hoist.
Okay,
Yeah, we were able to get the replacement of the sling launch included in all of our permitting documents, so at least as those permits come in, that would be covered for that work. One of the things that we're actually looking at right now is part of an evaluation of just how do we replace that function at the marina. So we'll be looking at a number of different alternatives and options for that, and evaluating costs and trying to decide what's the best path forward, looking at the long-term future of how we want to operate the marina.
that's good. I just wanna say that most people, particularly those that were used to using the sling and everything, will never realize how smart, under the circumstances, your actions. I get it. I just want you to know, and I say thank you. I mean, to do it any other way would be a lot longer curve of time to get the services back. It was a very smart move, and I commend you guys for that action. That's all I had.
Thank you. Really quickly is Katie just sent out today, she's been working with the Yacht Club, and she sent out today to all our dry shed tenants a letter telling them that, explaining a program that the Yacht Club has offered for all our dry sheds. Half off to join, limited things that they have to do to be in the Yacht Club, not a total full blown out thing, so these people can join so they can use the boat ramp over there. So that letter went out today, so we're waiting to see back what kind of response we get for that, and how many people they'd really use, and what that impact might. The Yacht Club wants to know what that impact could look like, but they've opened it up and invited us in, so it's been really nice.
Again, resourceful.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Very good for everything. Again, Mayor Mahoney, just stole everything, so, thank you.
You did it last meeting, man.
I'll go first next time.
Yeah.
All right.
I offered.
Is there anything else that staff needs to bring in front of us in the committee tonight? Mayor, anything?
No, I just had a thought, with your Camp Chaos and your work with the Muckleshoot Drive, what a great, maybe, you were talking about the teens, but maybe a great way for some of our younger residents to get exposure to the presence of the indigenous people here as well. So,
Okay, you just crossed the line to economic development, but, yeah, no. But I think one of the things that's really exciting about the whole marina redevelopment opportunity is to have, identification of cultural resources, sustainability so kids can they go out on a green roof, what does it mean, what are these things, and so it could provide a huge educational dynamic, which also draws in people from the economic development side, but also just educating people, young people, getting them involved at different levels. I think that's an incredible opportunity we have, both with indigenous peoples and the whole resilience issue, so. Thank you.
My comment on that is, if you haven't been to Climate Pledge Arena, is the Living Wall, and how popular that is. If you've ever been, there's a line to stand in front of it, and there's educational pieces along the way that tell you why it's important. And so, agreed 100%, city manager, that, it's an opportunity. If that's it from everybody, we'll, motion to adjourn. A seconded, and meeting's adjourned. Thank you all very much.